Okay. Thanks, Sarah. Hi, everybody. I'm Sergeant First Class Sarah Schram, and as you can see, I'm also in the Army Field Band. It's great to be here, and I have um, really enjoyed all of your presentations so far and the good questions. I think this is just what my heart needs right now, is to hear all these stories and to hear the advice and the experience that all of these different amazing women um, have been through. And it's such a wonderful opportunity to share what we've learned and what we're continuing to learn with all of you and with each other. So I thank all of the presenters so far for inspiring me and reminding me some of the things that made me want to be a musician in the first place, and some of the things I want to remember and reincorporate. So I appreciate that, and to Jacqueline for having us. So just a little bit about myself. I've been in the Army Field Band for almost 9 years. I do love the job. I get to wear a lot of different hats, which is sort of unusual in a professional, ensemble, I think. My section rotates, so I play English horn every 6 months for 4 months. Principal, second oboe, assistant. We get the opportunity to solo with the concert band, do chamber music, do a lot of educational outreach with the chamber music. So all of these different parts of my performing career that I couldn't choose between, I wouldn't want to choose between, I now don't have to. So that's been wonderful. And also just working in the behind the scenes makes you really appreciate what you get to do as a performer on the stage. So I've done a lot of the administration stuff as well. So I think my brain is like always doing crossword puzzles. Like it's keeping it in check, I think, except that I'm losing my memory. I'm not really, but like you know what I mean? Anyway, so a little bit how I got started. I was born in Boston. I'm from the East Coast, to parents that were music lovers, but not musicians. It skipped a generation because even though they both actually very talented, as children, their parents didn't have enough money for them to have private lessons. So they always encouraged that in me, especially my mother. She took me to chamber music concerts, to Broadway shows, to orchestra concerts. She always had classical music on in the background, as well as Tina Turner. And so, it's important to have a variety, right? Yeah. So I've always loved the arts. Was never really into sports, but I did dance and theater and visual art and music. So I've always had just that artistic background, and always found that my very best friends are also in the arts world. I went to Interlochen at 14, and that kind of was a defining moment for me, being around all these different artists and not being the best, which was great, and really getting pushed out of my comfort zone and realizing I did have to practice, like more than just, oh yeah, I think it had come so naturally at the beginning. And so anyway, that was a defining moment. I went to Interlochen for a couple summers and started to really feel that like orchestral love, that special warm feeling you get when you're playing in a big ensemble. And I just like never wanted to give that up. So when I was playing in youth orchestra in high school, that high school I had moved, and it was a kind of a difficult time, right, for everybody. But going there every weekend, being with those people, making that music was something that really kept me grounded, and put everything into perspective. So when I was trying to decide, like, did I want to go into this type of art or this type of art, I never wanted to give up that feeling that I got when I was playing music I loved with people I loved. Like, just, I had to do it. I had to keep doing it until I didn't want to do it anymore, So I went to Northwestern, where I was a music major, but I chose to go to that big university because I didn't want to give up that liberal arts experience, and to be with lots of different people and from all different places and experiences. And I was there for 2 years, 2 really great years, but for unforeseen circumstances, my teacher was going through some stuff, and he quit, and I just found that the better place for me for my oboe playing was going to be at Eastman School of Music. So that was kind of one of those big turning point changes where it was like, is this the right idea? I don't know. I don't know what the right idea is. Who can tell me what the right idea is? And nobody knows. Like, that's the big secret, you guys. Like, nobody knows what the right choice is, because there is no right choice. And you just kind of, for me at least, you know, Northwestern was one set of great stuff, Eastman was another, but there was an overlap. So I'm grateful for both, and I needed both, I see, for myself. So let's see, where am I? I had a really supportive teacher at Eastman, Richard Kilmer. I skipped over my high school oboe teacher, who was a freelancer, and she was a very strong woman, and very driven, very talented, worked really hard, and had a lot of difficulty just like in her performing career. She came up against a lot of difficult challenges. And so she said to me, like, yeah, you're great. Like, you love it. But if you can do anything else, like, do anything else. So from the moment I knew I wanted to do this, like, I knew that it could be very hard, because I could see that from her. And I was like, Laura, I don't want to do anything else. I can't do anything else. I have to do this. You know, she was like, ugh, fine. Okay, great. Good luck, you know. But she was very supportive, and she was an incredible, strong role model growing up. So where am I? After I stayed with my teacher from Eastman, I stayed with him for 5 years, because I felt like I didn't get as much out of him as I needed to in 3 short years of transferring. So I stayed an extra 2 years with him, and I'm really glad I did that. And after that, I started to take some auditions, and they went okay. You know, like, it wasn't like, oh my God, this isn't for me, but such a different skill. And I decided, while I waited that out, and I would move to New York City, because that's all I've ever wanted to do, is live in New York City and be an artist, right? So everybody thought I was insane. And why would you go to like the most challenging place in the world to try to make your career? But it's all anyone has different perspectives and different experiences, because for me, like, all of my best friends from Interlochen were there, all my best friends from Northwestern were there, all my best friends from Eastman were there, and from summer festivals, people I kept in touch with, even people from high school were, you know, it was like, no, that's where everybody is. So actually it makes total sense. I have more connections there than anywhere else. So I moved there. I like drove my car there with all my stuff, emptied out my belongings into this living room of a 1-bedroom apartment that I was sharing with like several other people, and lived on the floor. Sarah's saying, yeah, me too. Yeah. And saw like a rat at the bodega across the street like that night, and was like, oh my God, what am I doing? It's not a good idea. But the next day, I remember my teacher said, here's a list of names I want you to call. Tell them I told you to call. A friend of mine said, hey, I'm nannying for this guy. Like, do you want me to ask him if you can call him? He's an oboe player. And someone else gave me a couple names, and I just was like, okay, every day after I eat breakfast, before I start practicing, and like riding the bus, just walking, and just filling my days for a couple of weeks while I still, like, before I have to figure out what I'm going to do, I'm just going to call people. I called like 10 or 15 people a day, just like, hi, if I could play for you sometime, like, that would be great, you know. And it's a very humbling experience, but, you know, like, there were some people that called back, and one thing led to another, and I got some really great gigs out of that, and met more people. And my guiding phrase through all of that was like, always say yes, and then figure it out. So, can you do this? Yes, I can. I'm excited. And then, how am I going to do that? You know, figure that out. Like, how many days do I have to figure out how to do that crazy technique, or get a different instrument like a bass oboe? How am I going to get my hands on a bass oboe reed to play in a Broadway pit? You know, so that's a big piece of advice that I have that has led to some of my successes, is to just say, sure, I'd be happy to like try to figure that out. If you give me a chance, like, I'll try to do my best. And that's led to some incredible different experiences, like contemporary music, Baroque oboe playing, Broadway pits, just any of the different orchestras I played in, and then teaching. I taught every day, and what else did I do? I just ran around like crazy trying to, make things happen. And in between all that, I was still taking auditions. So, Jacqueline, you had asked a question to some of the other participants. Were there ever any times that they thought music maybe wasn't the right path? And I'll be honest with you guys, there were a couple times when I was in New York for 5 years, in between grad school and what am I doing for the rest of my life, where I was like, just one bad audition, away from just being like, I can't do this anymore. What am I doing? Like, this is silly. And why am I doing this to myself? So I do remember one particularly bad performance at an audition. I think we've all had them, so let's be real. And it was close to my apartment, so I was walking home and I was like crying as I'm walking home with all my instruments. And I got home, and my boyfriend at the time, who is now my husband, he's an incredible classical guitarist in his own right, and has had a lot of varied experiences performing. And I came home and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I'm finished. And we're never doing this again. I'm like, throw the oboe down and let's burn it. And he was like, okay, that's fine. But like, let's just like, if you can just like try to breathe and relax, and let's watch some funny bloopers of like gymnasts, like Olympic athletes. Like they worked 4 years. Every 4 years they have a chance. And then like, something happened, one misstep, and they have to wait another 4 years. Like, let's put this in perspective, and so that for me, like laughing, not laughing at them, but that when they put the funny music with it, sometimes it's funny, but not trying to laugh at like other people's, but just that we're all in this together and you're not the only one that makes a mistake, and just putting that into perspective. So that's something that's helped me along, is to have that like foundation to go back to, of someone who can make me laugh and help me put things in perspective, but still by honoring those feelings. And another moment that pops out is, I think it was all around that time. It's just some really bad auditions in there. I don't know. And my mom calling me up and saying like, you need to come home. I just bought you an Amtrak ticket. Come home for the spring weekend. I'm planting all these flowers. Like, come and help me. Let's just quiet it down, and just remind you of who you are without anything else, And if you can find those points, those touchstones, I think that will serve you well. And if you already have them, like, you're well ahead of the game. Just quickly, like what led me to the Army Field Band was I was having a pretty good string of auditions for the last year that I was, before I got this job, and I was doing really well in the audition, but like not getting it, which was okay. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get there maybe. And then this job came up, and I had applied for some of the military band jobs, but then never gone to the audition. Like, I can't run a mile. I'm not athletic. I've never thought I was going to be in the military. Like, I don't have anyone in my family in the military. This is not my scene. But then there was just something for us to not live in New York City anymore. And I was not seeing how like that was going to last forever, long-term, just freelancing and just hustling like that. For me, I didn't see how that was going to last for long-term for what I wanted in my life. And so just like, okay, I'll just make a tape. And like, if I get it, I guess we'll go. Right. And he was so supportive. And there were some people that were like, why would you take a full-time job if it was in the military? Like, why would you do that? And I'm like, do you hear yourself? Like, for me, I was like, do you hear yourself? I don't know. I can't relate to that. So I sent my recording in. I won the job. It was a great day, and and here I am, and it has really changed my life. Like I don't know how we would have been where we are without it. So I'm constantly grateful for it every day. And I just wanted to quickly say that I do have two small kids, and the job has been very supportive. My leadership has been very supportive of me becoming a mom. Um, they've given me the time that I needed to kind of like rebalance, and they've also like, yeah, so it's been a very good experience for me. I think your life comes at you in cycles, and hopefully you'll be lucky enough to be in a position where you can recognize the cycles and the ebbs and flows, and you can run really fast and really hard, but then you got to like slow it down for a little while, and that's okay. And hopefully you'll be in a position where you can do that. What Michelle was saying about finding that calm really spoke to me. Trying to cultivate that calm and figure out what you need. For me, I need to feel overly prepared for anything I'm doing in order to feel calm. Like, and then I need to learn how to like fake feeling overly prepared to feel calm, and try to be like fully yourself, and then maybe you're calm. So that's something that I've found, and hopefully this helps you to find too. And I guess I just wanted to share just a couple of clips of advice for you. One is, just because you're not good at something yet doesn't mean you can't get better at it or can't even be good at it. That's something that I feel like should be very clear. But as a child, I think you go towards the things that you're good at, and then you're just like, I'm good at these things, so I'm not good at those things. I'm just going to be good at the things I'm good at and leave those behind. And what's happened in my job is that, I was not a runner. So then I had to figure out how to be a runner. And now I'm like, oh, I guess, like, I mean, I'm not an Olympic runner. I'm not a marathoner, but I'm not bad at it. So that took me until I was 30 years old to realize, so you never know. So don't count yourself out on something or somebody else. Like, oh, they're not good at that. Like, they don't do that. Just give everybody that chance to grow if they want to. Don't be afraid to speak up for yourself when something isn't right. I remember this comes up from one of the worst auditions I had, and it was because not because of the accompanist, but the accompanist was playing the wrong tempo, and it was a strange audition with piano accompaniment, and I just like couldn't make it work. And instead of just stopping and saying like, this is like twice as slow as it's supposed to be, I just like tried to make it work because I didn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. And that was just why, so speak up if you need to speak up, because in the end it's all about what that's for you. Like if it's something that has to do with you and is going to affect your life and your career, you've got to say something. Let's see, I already told you, say yes and then figure out how to do it. As I was getting ready for auditions or a big concert, I find like establishing your routine, just like some of the previous presenters said, your daily routine. Like, I'm going to get up, I'm going to eat breakfast, I'm going to brush my teeth, and then I'm going to play through my excerpt list, like all the way down, and then I'll go do something else. I'll be in my pajamas, and I'll do it, and it'll be done, and I'll learn from that. I'll take notes later, I'll take notes now. But just making sure that you do what your routine needs to be, you do that every day for you. And my last big thing is try to find something that you love about what you're doing. So like Michelle was saying, that spoke so much to me. Like, you were going to make every job your dream job. You were going to make every student your dream student. Like, it may sound cheesy, but I can find like a real happy place in any of the music I play in my concert band career. Like, I can find that like happy. I mean, it may not be like as it would be in a Mahler symphony, but like I can find it and I look for it and I enjoy it. So I love playing Mozart. I love playing Bach. I find inspiration there. I also find inspiration in playing A Million Dreams and like seeing the looks on the audience's faces and the singers' faces and people moving together and people like not wanting you to know that they like it, but they do. You know, like you can kind of see that twinkle in their eye. And so if you can't find that joy, then life is going to be like long and you're going to want to complain, and then you want other people to complain with you to make you feel better about complaining, and it's contagious and people do it a lot. It's so unhealthy, and some people may be annoyed if you're like, actually think about it though, it's actually a great piece, or well, you know, at least we have this really great job, or at least it's sunny outside, or you know, I heard on the radio someone saying like yesterday, can Maryland decide if it's winter or spring? Is it caught? And I was like, no, it's most obviously spring, you guys. Like, we don't need to complain about that right now. You know, let's have some perspective. So, yeah, I think finding, you know, my mom is always like, where's the joy? Where's the wonder? Like, find that. And I can't tell you that enough. Like, find it. Like, even if you've been around for many, many years, like, see something again for the first time. Like, look at it as a child would look at that, and just keep that in you. And I think you'll have a happy time. So I think that's all I have for you. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know if anyone has any questions or we want to keep moving.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Hi.
Hi.
So you gave lots of great advice for like in general music, but do you have any tips or advice for young oboists?
Oh, are you an oboist?
I am.
Oh, awesome. Do I have any oboe advice? I mean, like reed making, keep to a routine, figure out what works for you, keep notes, talk to different people, make reeds with other people. If you're a reed maker, like, don't be afraid to buy reeds and like see how they feel and what you like about them and try to recreate that in your own. I think that's my biggest thing, because you want, as an oboe player, I think we can get so stuck in like the actual technical part of like making the sound work.
Yeah.
Right. And so as much as you can, try to always keep the music going. So like, okay, I made my reeds. Maybe they're not the best. Try to figure out how you can make it work so that you can just play, because that's what we want to do, right? Is play music. And I would say with oboe, especially because of all the reeds, that be proud of your sound for whatever it is. There's so many different kinds of sounds, and just be proud of that. Of it's your point of view, and there's so many, and it's good to have so many. So that's my advice. I hope that was sort of helpful.
That does.
Right, well, thank you so much. Okay, do I make you? Oh, I'm not the host. Not the host, so bye.
All right, so really quick, if I could ask everyone to turn their cameras on if you're comfortable, and I'm going to take a photo to document this right before our final Sarah speaks. Look at everyone's beautiful faces. I'm so excited. Again, thank you all for showing up. This means a lot to me. I spent months preparing this. And I'd like to thank all of the speakers for being here. And I really appreciate you guys dedicating your time to speak for all of us. Okay, and now I'm going to hand it over to Miss Sarah Polinsky.
Hey, everybody in the club. How you doing? Where my vocalists at? Where they at?